Hello, and welcome back to MetalDisciple.com's Metalheads podcast. My name is George.
And I'm Buke.
And this is a very special episode today. This is an episode from the road.
Yes, the road dogs.
We are recording in a hotel room, room 202 at the Hampton Inn in Richmond, Virginia. We're here because we went to the Dave Brockie Memorial service today at, I don't know how you said it, Haddad's Lake, something of that.
For those of you who don't know, Dave Brockie is the late singer of GWAR.
And if you don't know that, shame on you. So we went to the memorial today, and we're headed to the GWAR-BQ tomorrow. We thought it would be really cool to bring along some gear and do a podcast from the road. And we're probably going to spend most of the time talking about GWAR, but overall it will be a typical episode, so I guess we might as well get started.
And if you hear any, AC units or voices or any different sounds that you're not... any different sounds that you're not used to, just know that this is, again, a special episode. And
we are partaking of beverages while we talk.
And we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming
next week.
Next week. Whenever we get to it.
So yeah, today started off
bright and
early. We hit the road from Maryland at 9 o'clock in the morning.
As we'll talk about later, not as early as some of the people that we met.
This is true, but they had to come from much farther. But we left around 9 a.m., and if you know anything about the D.C. area, traffic in this area is just horrendous. Being that it was a work day, we had to deal with trying to avoid rush hour traffic, but even after that, it was still bad. We got on 95, and that was pretty horrible. We got off, we got on 1, that was pretty horrible. We got back on 95, that was horrible.
Yeah.
But eventually it picked up again. Richmond should be about a 3-hour drive, but it took us at least 5 hours.
At least, yeah.
We got here, we checked into the hotel.
Probably about 1:30. 2 o'clock.
It was about 2 o'clock. And
the event started at 4.
Yeah, we headed over there, try and get there early in case there's parking issues or whatever. We got there around 3, and we hung out for a little bit, and then we parked and, just started wandering around. There was no admission today. It was open to the public.
Now, let me just set the scene for those of you who haven't looked online at this event and what it is. This takes place at like a family water park. Yeah, like an old lake, water park. Waterfalls, rope swing.
Swimming pools.
Yeah, swimming pools. It's where you'd have like weddings. And it looks like an old water park.
Yeah, there's like gazebos and it doesn't look like the kind of place that would host an event like this.
Definitely not. So you were saying we get there about 3, walk around.
And we walked around, we checked the place out a bit. We knew that there was going to be a Viking funeral for the Oderus Urungus costume. To our surprise, it was already in its boat, sitting in the water.
At full staff?
At full staff, yes. The cuttlefish was present and accounted for and standing at attention. It looked like a mast. And so, everybody was like, whoa, hey, it's Oderus. So everybody was taking pictures, myself included. Then we walked around a little bit, and we found a picnic table with an umbrella. So we sat down in the shade to wait for the festivities to begin. So while we were sitting there, some other people came along and sat down to enjoy some of the shade as well. And we got to talking with them. There were 2 couples, a man and a woman from New York, and another man and woman from Philadelphia.
Yep. Me, being the chatty Cathy that I am, started to turn instantly right to them. Hey, where you from?
Yeah, it's funny because Buke was off at getting beer tickets when they arrived. So I was sitting there by myself, and they came and sat down, and I'm like facing the other direction, and I'm just sitting there on my phone, and they're sitting there talking, and I'm like ignoring them. I mean, I just hadn't turned around and looked at them because, and then as soon as you come along, you sit down, and you're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, hey, people here.
I'm not going to be the creepy guy hogging the umbrella.
Yeah. But they were pretty cool. Mm-hmm. We swapped some good stories. The one guy, the New York guy, was a big Manowar fan, so I was like, me too, and we swapped some Manowar stories, and then the other couple that came along were from Philly, and they were more of a punk thing.
They punk couple.
Yeah, they weren't as much into the metal thing, but they did like GWAR. So we chatted with them for a while.
And this is when you made you mentioned it at this point, that it stuck out to me, and we got a good laugh, that, because over our shoulders was Oderus in the Viking ship.
Yeah.
And this is when you made the note that he was adorned with a bunch of flowers.
Yeah, it was a little strange seeing Oderus ringed with flowers. It's like from a funeral pyre point of view, it was definitely pretty and it was appropriate, but it's a little odd to see Oderus ringed with flowers.
But you definitely knew something GWAR style was up because around the flyers you could see boxes of fireworks.
Yes.
So you didn't know what was going to happen, but
Yeah, shit was going to blow up. So anyway, we chatted with them for a while until, was it bagpipe music started playing? Yeah, and Buke was in the beer line again. And so I ran over to see what was going on, and there was a stage set up. We were curious about that because there weren't supposed to be any bands playing today. Turns out that it was set up so that they could do the memorial speeches. So I wandered over and waited for him while he was finishing up in the beer line, and I whipped out my iPhone and threw a little microphone on it and started recording the speeches. So if you're lucky, those will be in some semblance of good shape, and I'll be able to post those later. I may even, depending on how things turn out, they may be at the end of this episode. But I'll probably stick them in a separate file because it's probably a good half hour, 45 minutes worth of stuff. So
yeah, we get everybody kind of orderly, everybody was doing their own thing. Bagpipes start, people kind of perk up. Yeah, what's going on?
It was just like an exodus. Everybody's like, boom, we're over here now. Because, it was on the opposite side of where the water and the funeral pyre were. I guess we were all expecting that they would come over there. So, we get over there, and I don't know who she was, but somebody sang a song, a beautiful song.
It was a gorgeous song.
And I didn't get that recorded. I was still getting my bearings at that point. So that as soon as she stopped, I whipped out the recorder, and out comes the legendary Jello Biafra.
I will admit, I didn't know who he was, really.
Singer for the Dead Kennedys. Most people know who he is. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm old. But
the introduction for him laid it out that Dave had looked up to him as an inspiration. And
yeah, and they were friends. They worked together on a bunch of stuff. And he gave a very moving and funny speech. And I was, towards the end, I got a little teary-eyed. Mm-hmm. And then after he spoke, he introduced, or at least he tried to introduce, Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. He called him Adam Blythe.
It wasn't Andy or Adam, was it?
He called him Adam. He was getting him mixed up with the other guy. So Randy comes out and he's like, actually, my name's Randy. And Randy proceeded to give a really nice speech.
Yeah.
I recognized most of it from a post that he had made after the funeral. So he was sort of rehashing it, it seemed like, he didn't have notes or anything, so he was doing it all from his head, but I recognized most of it, but it was good. So, why not trot it out again? It was
he
funny.
Even screamed in one part, which got me all excited.
Yeah. Reading it on the page is one thing, but hearing the emotion in his voice as he was talking about it is another thing altogether. And that too, I'm a big wuss. What am I going to say? I got a little weepy again.
It was so weird, I don't know the Dead Kennedy singer prior to today, but it was odd seeing the human side of Randy. Yes, we saw it during his trial proceedings, but to see it right in front of us, he walks out with Dockers, that button-up bowling shirt or whatever he was wearing today, and to see the emotional side of him come out today, that was interesting. He gave a touching, just true account of what Dave meant to him, and Dave had, these the Lamb of God's a Richmond band, GWAR also being a Richmond band. When Lamb of God was starting out as Burn the Priest, GWAR had taken them out with them, or came out to some of their shows. I'm sorry.
GWAR did take Lamb of God out on their first real tour.
Yes, their first real tour. Yes, I don't know if they were Lamb of God at that point, but yes. So he recanted.
He recanted his story. He changed his tune.
He recounted the early days of Dave giving him and the band a chance, and just being a true, genuine guy, who came out to their shows and stuff, and it was touching to hear that.
Yeah.
And then after Randy, I can't remember.
Adam Green was the next speaker, and I'm not familiar with him, although he's apparently the writer and star of a TV show called Holliston, which I am peripherally aware of because it also stars Dee Snider and Dave Brockie, was apparently on the show as Oderus Urungus, the imaginary friend of Adam Green. Definitely going to have to Netflix that now or something.
I am, yeah.
And despite the fact that I didn't really know anything about the guy, probably gave the most moving speech of all three.
I was firm up until he got up there, because he came right out and said that he's an actor. He's
not a metal guy.
Yeah, he's not a metal guy. He is not used to going. He's not used to going off the cuff, reading eulogies and
speaking in front of people live.
Speaking in front of people live and stuff like that. And you could tell the second he got up there, easily shaking. You could see.
And he was a couple times he almost started crying. He was pretty emotional.
Mm-hmm. And
he told some really cool stories. And best of all is he still saved and was on his phone a voicemail that Dave had left for him. And he went on to talk about how a lot of us in our lives need to let those people who are important to us know that we love them, care about them, let them make sure we know how much they mean. And he said that because as he played for us, which was really, I looked at the girl to my right, she was actually crying. Yeah, so was I. That was me, the girl.
You have Dave, we're all here for him. You have his voicemail. Just call in this guy, and you see the personal side of Dave.
Exactly. Yeah. We all know him as the, wild and crazy alien guy.
Yes.
But this phone message was so it was just a normal conversation. He's like,
hey, bro, I'm just calling to check on you. Check on the family.
It highlighted what a normal person, normal being, as normal as Dave is, but truly a normal person just like the rest of us. And what a kind and thoughtful and loving person that he was.
He went on to end it. He's like, make sure to give the family my love. I hope everything's going well, buddy. Thinking about you. We'll be in touch soon.
Yeah.
It took out the whole, just like you said, character. And made him real.
And so Adam wanted everybody to remember that we should tell everybody that we love them. So I love you, man.
I love you too. I promptly poured out my phone and texted my wife.
Yeah, it's that moment where everybody's like, I gotta call my mom. But, we're making light of it. But it was a very poignant and touching ceremony.
Extremely. When you post the clips later, definitely take a moment to listen to that, because that was really the highlight easily. And then next was former...
It was a...
Beefcake.
Yes, Beefcake. Mike Bishop was next. He didn't have... No, actually, he was not. He was last. John Freeman, the publicist, was next.
That's right.
And
he just came out and told a story.
Yeah.
He said he didn't have that much to say, but
his was brief, but it was pretty good too. He was talking about like the press releases, how they
were going to be the biggest thing to hit Japan since the atom bomb.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to send that one out. And another one about Lindsay Lohan's twat.
Yeah.
And how it took 25 emails back and forth with the label before they could agree on the phrasing Lindsay Lohan's puss.
So he was just, highlighting that humorous side.
Yeah. And then Mike Bishop came out last, and that's when we did the Primal Scream, which, if my voice is a little raw right now, it's because, basically he talked about how Dave liked to have a good scream once in a while, and, it really makes you feel a little bit better. And so he wanted everybody there to do a Primal Scream, and is that thing open yet? And so, on the count of 3, everybody was just supposed to let loose. And, well, I let loose. I'm not usually a very loud person, so, I screamed my guts out until I ran out of breath. And I'm like, whew, okay, wait a minute. Everybody's still screaming. Crap. So I had to let loose with the second one.
Listen to your voice.
I know, and my voice is kind of shot now a little bit, so, I did my best.
I think the girl to my right, not you this time, let out a better scream than you did.
Yeah. And he's right, it felt good to do.
Yeah, it did. But he was short. And is he still in the band?
What, Bishop? Well, he's sort of back in the band. He used to be Beefcake the Mighty. They introduced him with a new name, but I don't recall what it was, because there's already a Beefcake in the band still, so he's coming on as a new character. Word is that he's going to be the one singing tomorrow for GWAR. We'll see. And he sort of segued into the Viking funeral part. So I sort of cut short my recording of him to follow the herd of people back over to the water where they, I think they did the bagpipes again. And then somebody shot a flaming arrow. and you know.
Literally shot it.
And it's great that they actually hit it. It didn't take them a couple times like on Game of Thrones. Wasn't that Game of Thrones? Yeah.
No, most of the time, when you see flaming arrows, like it's attached to like some hidden string or something. No, this was an actual flaming arrow shot.
Yep.
Good 20, 30 yards.
Yep, and landed, hit the boat. It was a slow start. Took about probably a minute to get going. And then it went up. And if you've never seen a Viking funeral, and I'm guessing you probably haven't, it was quite an experience.
Yes.
There's a lot of cheering and a lot of people making
GWAR
stupid comments too, but a lot of GWAR. And
it was powerful. It was crazy. Just you could picture that actually being Dave.
Right. It wasn't actually Dave. Just some people weren't clear on that. It was just the costume. Dave was actually, his funeral was actually on April 1st.
But you could picture, as you saw the silhouette of
Yes.
Oderus
Laid out.
going up in flames, it hit you.
Yeah.
And with the crowd of people, I lost you for a good 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I was sneaking my way up to the water line so I could take some video.
And then when I found you, and we talked episodes ago about you and that sentence moment you had when you had tears in your eyes.
Yes, I was
I saw
crying
you
again.
today. Yeah, you were.
I'm a little bitch. But what can I say?
You were not the only one.
No. I saw some other people too. And
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I'm sure they'll be talking about this for years, the Viking funeral that Oderus Urungus was given. And not that that's why I think it's so important, but it was such a striking moment in time that it's gonna have to go down in history. And to know that this was like sort of the final page
yes.
of the Dave book, that this was the final closure for us. I shouldn't say closure. Jello did not like the word. It was Jello, wasn't he? He didn't like the word closure. But, well, I call it like I see it. That's basically what it was in a sense. And I tried filming it with my camera, with my point-and-shoot camera, which I'm not as well versed with as I am my SLR, which I couldn't bring. So I didn't realize that my camera was only going to take 30-second videos. And so I'm like, record 30 seconds. And it would stop, and I'd hit record again and take another 30 seconds. So I'm going to try and piece those all together and see if I get anything worthwhile that I can post up on YouTube or something. I'll put out links to that as well. I took some pictures as well, so hopefully...
You took a good picture. You framed one really well.
Yeah, thank you. So hopefully you'll see all of that soon. And in all likelihood, it'll probably all be posted before you hear this.
And then, I wouldn't say it's an awkward moment, but towards the end, I don't know if they were notified, but the fire department, you could hear them coding in flights and sirens.
Yeah, there's like, woo, woo.
They showed up, and at this point, the boat had pretty much burned down to its hull. I don't know. It wasn't going to fully burn up with all of us there. And
yeah, I was hoping it would sink, but it just didn't.
That's what I was hoping for, too.
It was a well-built ship, laddie.
But again, it wasn't awkward, but the only moment we're kind of like, I guess it's time to go is kind of...
Yeah.
As it was, burning down, it was kind of like, I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
I was really hoping the firemen weren't going to come in and put it out with the hose, because that would have just killed the whole thing.
Yeah.
That would have been a real buzzkill.
Which they didn't, at least when we were there.
No.
So we...
that was pretty much it after that.
We packed up and left, and as we record, it's 10 o'clock right now.
Usually we record in the morning-ish, so it's later, and like I said, we are... partaking of our evening beverages in preparation of tomorrow's event.
And tomorrow starts at 8, right? Or is it, 10?
10.
Starts at 10, probably 10, 12 bands.
Yeah. It's going to be, obviously, GWAR, Body Count, Hatebreed, Misfits, Goat Whore, Occultation, I think they're called. Shit.
Something Reagan, what was that?
Oh, Iron Reagan.
Iron Reagan, yeah. I got it on my...
Yeah, we took a picture of the thing.
Phone here.
But anyway, it's going to be a bunch of good music and some vendors and good times. And
yeah, Body Count, Goat Whore, Iron Reagan, The Misfits, Loincloth, The Meat Men.
Oh, yeah, Meat Men.
Somebody was really excited for them.
Yeah, they're classic.
Fuckface Unstoppable.
Oh, yeah, them.
Eat the Turnbuckle,
I don't know them either.
and The Glorious Gone,
Don't know them either.
and Capone.
Don't know them either.
So,
Those will be the bands that are playing when we're walking around checking shit out.
and the Mighty GWAR
Of course.
is headlining it. So,
Yep. It's going to be fun times.
this your first time seeing GWAR?
It is. It's really kind of embarrassing. I mean, I've been living here, a couple hours north of their hometown for like 17 years now. I've known people who were slaves killed on stage at GWAR shows, yet I've never managed to go to a GWAR show. Stupid me, I couldn't be bothered to do it until after Dave died. But what are you going to do,
Now, since we're talking about GWAR, let's get into this for a moment. When was your first exposure to GWAR? I will share mine.
Okay.
Mine was, I remember it vividly. Why it sticks out for me, I don't know. But we were riding on the school bus in 6th grade, and somebody said they were going to a GWAR show. Nothing stuck with me. But then when they said...
Probably not appropriate for a sixth grader.
Probably no. But then when they said they shoot blood everywhere, and so it didn't register with me until I believe it was Beavis and Butthead played a number of their videos. I think 2 or 3 of their videos were featured on there. Maybe for my age, I shouldn't have been watching Beavis and Butthead, but that was my first exposure to, whoa,
Yeah.
this is GWAR. And the years after that, GWAR would always tour around, and I would always hear that their concerts, you got to go. You got to experience a GWAR show. GWAR. There's nothing like it. You leave soaked, stained, sweaty, tired, having a blast.
Yeah.
But I never went.
Yeah. We're dumbasses.
Yeah, so I'm kicking myself in the ass because is tomorrow going to be a real GWAR show?
It's going to be a unique GWAR show, to say the least.
To say the least, it certainly is. Now, when did you...
Well, I don't recall, how I learned about the band, but my first exposure was when Scumdogs of the Universe came out in 1990.
Was this one of your random buys?
I don't know that it was random. I mean, either somebody told me about them, or, I don't know, maybe there was a Headbangers Ball video. I don't recall ever seeing, an early GWAR video, but maybe there was. But it was probably just word of mouth. Somebody said, hey, there's this really wild band called GWAR, and Scumdogs of the Universe. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And I went out and I bought the cassette. And, oh, man, Scumdogs for me is the classic album.
Sick of You.
Sick of You and Slaughterama.
Love Surgery.
And Sexecutioner, Salamanizer, Maggots. Everything on this album is just so classic. So, I got in early, I guess, and I've been a fan for all these years.
And they were always one of those bands that, at least with me, and I think I speak for you here, they toured all the time. And you're like, yeah, I'll catch them next time.
Exactly. Then that's exactly what happened. I was like, oh, it just was never convenient, and then too late.
Do you think GWAR is an influential band?
Well, that's funny you say that because I had this little tidbit in my head that I wanted to spit out before we moved on, and that is that there was another band back in the day, shortly after GWAR came to popularity, that was similar, and they were called Green Jelly. Excuse me, Green Jello. They had to change their name to Green Jelly because they got sued by Jello.
Really?
They had an album called Serial Killer with a C, as in breakfast cereal.
Okay.
And they had a video and a song called Three Little Pigs. And they were all dressed up in similar type suits, and they were obviously in some way influenced by GWAR. They didn't last. I don't even know if they ever put out a second album, but the song was kind of cool. But I think getting sued and having to change their name, it was just all downhill from there. So, and they're certainly influential in less visible ways. Obviously there aren't that many bands running around dressing like GWAR. Although, there is a lot of theatrics that could possibly be traced back to GWAR. Or just a sense of the obscene, which, Dave Brockie was a smart guy. I don't think he was generally probably obscene for the sake of obscene. There was usually some sort of point behind it, because he was smart, and I probably don't even understand all of it. So I'm sure he inspired a lot of people to be free thinkers.
In my short time being a metalhead, diehard, it seems like when I see the metal news media, GWAR doesn't still seem to be that name that's like a Slayer, like a Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and it's because probably the comedic aspect, the absurdity of it. Not everybody probably listened to it in the same way that they would listen to a Slayer.
They never took them serious?
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're in a fun, goofy mood. Let's put on some GWAR. Whereas the rest of the time they're like, I'm in a head-banging, kick-ass mood. Put on some Slayer. And you sort of back yourself into a corner with that kind of music. And I'm sure they were terribly underrated as musicians and songwriters in general because of that.
But I thought they were a goof.
Yeah, but if you listen to their stuff, it's really good. So,
would you consider them one of the influential metal bands?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. They're like an archetype. They are, they're at the top of their area.
Yeah, the theatrical stuff that you can paint, Ghost and every band's coming after them.
Lordy's probably another example.
Yes. You could probably say Slipknot, Mushroom Head, whatever other bands are doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Never thought about that. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. I'm not a fan, but the whole body count thing is going to be interesting to see.
I would like to see that. I've never seen body count. I've never seen Ice-T. I'm not a huge body count fan, but when they first came out, it was an interesting concept. And I bought the first album anyway. But listen, for me, it's just going to be more of a curiosity. Just be like, oh, okay, so that's body count. Cool.
Yeah, they just got off touring on Mayhem Fest. If it's still wrapping up. I'm more than anything just excited for Hatebreed. Been a fan of those guys since I've been into metal. So that's really what I would say. Who are you most excited for tomorrow?
GWAR.
GWAR?
Yeah.
Probably
and Goathor.
I was just about to say that. Yep. I thought so. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for GWAR too. It's a shame that we're not seeing the GWAR, but tomorrow's going to be one that goes down in the history books.
Yeah. We'll see a GWAR.
Mm-hmm. And who knows, we may see the GWAR tomorrow that goes forward from this day on for a while.
Yeah, I probably mentioned in one of the previous podcasts that I couldn't see GWAR continuing without Dave Brockie because Dave Brockie is such a big part of what GWAR is. But as they frequently said today, Dave did not do this all on his own. And the Metal Sucks podcast was talking, they interviewed a couple of the guys in their latest episode. And they talked about how they're going to continue and they're going to have somebody else singing and they've got all these other plans in the works. And, they converted me. We've been talking.
It's probably the most heated discussion you and I have had is about the Suicide Silence vocalist.
Yeah, it's, I've generally come down on the side of Mitch was the singer and that's that. And so it's kind of surprising to me that I'm like, okay, GWAR, let me see what you got now. Because the interview was so good and the way they talked about it, I'm like, okay, I'm curious. Let me hear it.
And, they can, like we were hearing people today, it's funny. I didn't hear them say they're getting a new singer. They described it as introducing a new character.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting that's how they were describing it. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I know they got that Riot Fest in Chicago, is it, in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I guess.
So.
All right. Well, I guess we'll talk about what happens tomorrow in an upcoming episode.
And also, we're going to try and do some short little snippets tomorrow from there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If that may end up with some of the other things. We didn't mention that we were doing road recordings on the way down here too. We had a little microphone and we were talking about our adventures trying to get here. So it may all tie together in another special episode, or who knows what'll happen.
And if something you don't happen to catch those live recordings that we did on the drive down, the high point of the day is what George just said about the whole funeral pyre. The low point is when we heard the promo of the Opeth record.
Oh yeah,
broke my heart.
Yeah,
broke my heart.
I really thought he was going to dig it anyway, and it just broke his heart.
There was a couple of times George wanted to grab the wheel from me because
don't drive off the road.
Yeah, that's crossing over that center line was. Boy, I'm heartbroken for that. But we'll talk about that when the album gets released.
Yeah,
in a couple weeks.
All right, why don't we move on a little bit?
Yep.
There was obviously a lot of focus on Dave Brockie and GWAR today, but this past week we lost someone else that's been extremely hard for a lot of people, myself included, to come to grips with. And that, of course, is the suicide of Robin Williams. What is Robin Williams doing on a metal podcast? Well,
it's one that's our show, and we're going to bring him on it.
Yeah, well, but, celebrities die all the time. People get upset. It's in the news for a day or two. But the fact that it was Robin Williams, the fact that he killed himself, really just, I think, knocked everybody back on their heels. And because he's touched so many people's lives for so many years. Me personally, I grew up watching Mork, the TV show Mork for Mork. Or Mork and Minnie, I guess it was. And, I had a Mork poster on my wall as a kid.
Did you have the suspenders?
I did not have the suspenders, but he had the suspenders in the poster. And, then, there was the movies that he did. He did funny movies, but then in my later teenage, early 20s years, there was, Dead Poet Society, one of my favorite movies of all time.
What's your favorite movie of his?
Dead Poet Society.
Okay.
That movie, we mentioned free thinker earlier in reference to Dave Brockie. That movie taught me how to be a free thinker. It was just a very profoundly inspiring movie.
I've never seen it.
You need to see this movie, man. So it didn't really surprise me all that much that people from all walks of life, at least here in America, and I expect he's probably got reach, in Europe and other countries as well, probably South America, Japan, who knows? The man was beloved by people the world over, and it's still taking a long time to leave the news.
Yep.
And, I saw something, I actually think it was on the Metal Sucks website. It was, heavy metal musicians commenting on the loss of Robin Williams. And I saw a picture of Rob Flynn with Robin Williams and all these guys just saying, man, this is terrible, loved Robin Williams. The man's reach was just incredible. His heart was huge. His generosity is legendary. And it is truly a tragedy that we no longer have him in the world. I just have to close that out by saying, oh, Captain, my Captain. So I'm reading a book right now by a Norwegian author by the name of Joe Nesbo, and it's the third book in a series. It's called The Redbreast, and it's a murder mystery, Scandinavian murder mystery. If you've ever read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or saw the movie, it goes along those lines. And the reason I mention it is because the part of the storyline involves Nazi skinheads, and this guy goes into this skinheads room. And there's swastikas on the wall, pictures of Himmler, all this Nazi memorabilia. And he says, a Burzum poster from a live show. My first thought was wow, Burzum in a mainstream book. Second thing was, there's posters of a live Burzum. Did Burzum even play live? And I looked and I couldn't come up with a concrete answer on that. It looks like there may have been one or two small shows, sort of like Dark Throne. He did not play live. So maybe he didn't quite check his facts too much on that one. But still, I thought it was interesting that Burzum was referenced in this book.
There's probably some fan out there in the world who's at one of those Burzum shows, if there was one.
It was probably a show for 10 people in a bar somewhere in Norway. And
some guy plays that card every time he goes out.
Oh, I saw Burzum in their only show. And his only show is, just Varg.
He's playing that card. So what's your greatest concert? Boom. This is mine.
Yeah, I guess you can't really top that one, can you?
I went back, quickly talk about I went back on Spotify, tried to listen to them the other day.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start.
Well,
do they sing in English?
Sometimes.
This was...
I haven't listened to it in a while.
What's the way you describe black metal?
Well, if you're going to do Burzum, you got to go early. Because once he went to prison, everything went electronic for a few albums because they wouldn't let him have a guitar.
This was that black and white one where it's a lady blowing a long trumpet.
Philosophem.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite one. There's another one, but I can't pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. And then after he got out of prison, he did a couple more raw black metal albums. There, it's all right. I mean, I really didn't listen to them because I thought he was such a douche. And now apparently he's back to doing electronic bullshit music that, we don't need to hear.
Did you see? Sorry, go ahead.
But, I have to admit the first couple albums are worthy of listening to, even if he is a bit of an asshole.
eBay banned his merchandise from being sold.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't buy his albums on there?
Yeah, merchandise from the band Burzum has been banned on eBay. This is from NME.com. The online auction site has banned the sale of items relating to the band, citing the history of violence of frontman Varg.
Yeah, however you say it. Vikirn?
Yeah, was recently found guilty of inciting racial hate by a French court.
He was recently convicted of being a giant douche.
Yeah. So Metal Sucks reports that an anonymous user said that he tried to sell 2 items of Burroughs merchandise on the site, but was rejected due to eBay's offensive material policy. States that items cannot be sold if they promote or glorify hatred, violence, racial, sexual, or religious intolerance.
Wow, that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now, Varg?
Yeah, how are you going to make your money now?
Mail order. Send me a
self-addressed stamp.
Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and a money order, and I'll send you my music. Then I'll come to your house and kill you.
He was probably featured in that Black Metal book you were reading, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course he was.
Yeah. Did anything stand out about him in that early time?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I don't know that too much of it was stuff I hadn't read before,
Yeah.
but anyway. Moving on, there are a couple pieces of news this week, but not much. There's 2 documentaries that are going to be coming out on, well, one of them's coming out on DVD. I don't know what the other one is. The first one is a 1992 documentary called Dream Deceivers, which is about the Judas Priest suicide trial. You know, back in the day, somebody killed somebody, and they're like, "Oh, I'm dead," and the other guy's like, "Oh, I'm not dead, but Judas Priest made me do it." You know, before that, it was Ozzy getting sued. Shortly after that, Judas Priest was getting sued. It was a bunch of bullshit. I guess I don't really know, but I assume it was thrown out. Well, now that it's after all these years, the documentary is finally available on DVD, or will be available on DVD. I, for one, would like to check it out.
Yeah. Apparently, this came about by free use.
Right. I guess it was the music that they wanted to use that was being held up.
Yep.
Sort of like the Batman TV series finally coming out on the original Batman TV series.
So once I got that cleared up, apparently they're good to go.
Right on. Well, there's also another documentary coming out, and I don't know if this is going to have a theatrical release first or if it's going straight to DVD or whatever, but it's called We Are Twisted Fucking Sister. So you can probably guess it's a documentary about Twisted Sister.
Oh, I was thinking Alice Cooper.
Super duper Twisted Sister. Not quite. But yeah, apparently it's a documentary about the early days of Twisted Sister. And as a huge Twisted Sister fan, I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
I have 3 vinyls from them.
Mm-hmm.
I swear on our friendship, if I've listened to...
Any of them?
If I've listened to Come On Feel the Noise...
That is not Twisted Sister. That is Quiet Riot.
God, I just fucking... crucified myself on this podcast, didn't I?
Do you mean we're not going to take it?
We're not going to take it. That's exactly what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Just unplug the mic right now. No.
Remedial metal history for you, buddy.
You know, they all sounded the same.
Shut up.
Okay. If I've listened to more than that song, I'd be lying to you.
Yeah, well.
And I know you love them.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I was a teenager when they were a big thing, so it makes sense.
Did you ever try and dress up like them?
No.
Come on, be honest.
No, I mean, I never... I have wanted to. My wife and I were talking about having like a Halloween costume party, and I was going to try and dress up as Dee, but...
Yes. Yes.
The most I ever did back in the day was I decorated a pumpkin as Dee Snider. I got some yellow yarn, and I put it on there, and I got a bunch of makeup and painted on the thing, and all his makeup on the thing, gave it big teeth. I also did an Alice Cooper and a King Diamond. So, the most metal pumpkins ever. All right, well, that's about it for news. So let's get into some new releases coming up this week, or probably this past week by the time you hear this. Accept has a new album coming out, Blind Rage. You going to get into that?
Yes, because I know you don't like him. Stalingrad, I listened to that again the other day. Killer record. Yeah.
I'm going to have to give the new version of Accept a listen. I was never a big Accept fan back in the day. It sounded too much like AC/DC to me. Brian Johnson kind of thing. But, you know, because of you, I did a few months ago go back and listen to the first couple Accept albums again. And I was like, all right, you know, it is actually kind of cool. So, but then there's a whole nother can of worms where I'm like, well, it's not even Udo singing, so why would I want to listen to it? But
it's just, you know how I like different vocalists. The vocals is just different. It gets me, you know.
I've heard a lot of good things, so I probably should
Eddie
check
Trunk
it out.
loves their most recent Stalingrad, loves it.
Well, that should maybe not a good... Yeah, anyway. Another album coming out that I'm looking forward to hearing is a new solo album by Ace Frehley called Space Invader. Ace, of course, was in Kiss.
Really?
Just in case you didn't know that one. Did he sing on Come On Feel the Noise? I don't know. But,
Quickly, what's your favorite Kiss song?
Favorite Kiss song? Oh, gosh. I mean, the first song that just jumped to mind was Strutter, but that's probably not my favorite. It's one of my favorite. I'm thinking maybe Detroit Rock City or possibly Love Gun.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, but, God of Thunder. And that's another cool one. I didn't like that one when I was younger, but now something about that just gets me.
Yeah, I've never been a Kiss fan, quickly, but the Kiss on vinyl is Destroyer with Love Gun.
Yes. No, Love Gun's on Love Gun.
Yeah, Destroyer. How little I know about Kiss.
Destroyer's like Detroit Rock City.
Yeah. That Love Gun album on vinyl, man, that sounds good.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Anyway, Ace, after he was in Kiss, he had a band called either Ace Frehley's Comet or Frehley's Comet. It kind of changed between albums, but I liked, as far as I know, there's only two. I only have the first two if there's more than two, and I like those. So, even without Kiss, Ace has got something to offer, so I'm looking forward to hearing this. Then there's a band that you mentioned to me earlier today called Cardinals Folly. I've been listening to them for their last couple albums. I got like a promo years ago, and I've been following them ever since, and today Buke asked me about them, and I was like, oh yeah, Cardinals Folly. Well, they've got a new album called Our Cult Continues. It's doom metal, more in a traditional kind of sense. It's good stuff. You should check it out. The Dragon Force album is finally coming out, Maximum Overload. Does anybody care? I don't know.
Guitar Hero's not a thing anymore. So I don't think people care about them anymore.
We mentioned it I actually talked about it on the Power Metal episode somewhat favorably. That's about as far as I got. I haven't been back to listen to it again. It hasn't, there's so much other good stuff to listen to right now. I just haven't gotten to it. So I'm sitting on the fence for that one. That band King 810 from Flint, Michigan, their album is coming out. I neglected to write down the name of it. Something about murder, though.
Please move on to the next.
Yeah.
I listened to his guys on Spotify the other day. Horrific.
Yeah, not so good. I mentioned them simply out of respect for my homies from Michigan. But
they're one of those bands that you wonder the news stories that they make up about like assaults or robberies or whatever they're involved with.
Yeah.
Or to generate press.
Yeah, well, they are from Flint, so who knows? But regardless, the music wasn't very good. So, like I said, moving on. This final release that I'm going to talk about, we are both waiting in with anticipation, though I do have the promo, so I have heard it, so haha. Is the new Pallbearer album, Foundations of Burden. Talk about some killer doom metal.
But don't listen to this if you're flying high.
Why not? It's perfectly good for that. I mean, I expect it would be perfectly good for that sort of thing.
You have to admit, this is pretty sad stuff.
Do you mean depressing?
Come on.
Yeah, well, it's doom metal. Hello.
Yeah, but it's really doomy. It's sad stuff.
Well, okay, so if, maybe there should be a warning on the album. When listening to Pallbearer, please don't kill yourself. It's been going around lately. All right, well, let's talk about the independent band that we're going to feature this week. This is a band that I heard about a couple years ago. They're called Arctic Sleep. I first heard them when their fifth album, Arbors, was released. I think I probably checked it out on Bandcamp. It's really pretty cool stuff. It's an interesting mix of sort of a heavy doom, space rock kind of music bed. The vocals remind me of something that might be like alternative. It's a really pretty original sound, I think. The music is so heavy, and the vocals are clean and pretty, and they just sort of lull me into this like relaxed state. When we were listening to them in the car on the way down here today, you mentioned that it was kind of like Catatonia. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. It's, it's metal in the musical sense, but it's also, very pretty and, it's beautiful is probably a better way of saying it. Much like a Catatonia record. So I really recommend you check these guys out. Their new album, their sixth album, is called Passage of Gaia, and we're going to play you a couple songs off that album. The first song is called The Staircase. Give it a listen. See what you think. All right. That was Arctic Sleep, The Staircase.
Like you had mentioned, fans of Catatonia, definitely check these guys out.
I'm feeling mellow. I'm a mellow fellow.
Just like you said, the vocals, mellow, but music underneath it is...
The songwriting combined with the singing, it's a fantastic album, and I highly recommend checking these guys out. Stick around to the end of the podcast, and we're going to play you another song from Arctic Sleep. All right, we were going to do a top whatever of a particular item for this week, but we neglected to bring our lists today of what we were going to cover for our top 3 or whatever. So on the fly, we came up with the top 3 moments at the Dave Brockie Memorial. You want to get us started?
I would love to. Number 3 moment was, pulling up, and it's hard to describe this. I'm going to get all emotional here, the next top 3. But pulling up and seeing a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand fans to honor a metal singer.
Our fallen brother.
Yeah,
Makes you proud.
Whatever reason he died from, if you don't know, an overdose, tragic way to die, but it doesn't make his death any less, sad, exactly. Just to see passionate fans, you and I saw easily hundreds of GWAR shirts today.
Yeah, the Dave Brockie Memorial t-shirt, of which I have one. I chose not to wear it.
We must have saw hundreds of them.
Yeah, everybody was wearing this thing. It's the picture of Dave. He was dressed up like Oderus, but he's taken the helmet off, and you can see he's got like makeup smeared on his face, and he's all sweaty from having done a show. And it's got the years he was alive underneath it. And everybody was wearing this shirt. I brought mine, but I didn't wear it because I wanted to wear my Metal Disciple gear to plug the site. But yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, my number 2 moment is the voicemail that Dave left
To Adam.
Because like we mentioned earlier, it brought Dave down to earth.
It humanized him.
Yes, it did. It made you hear him, just being like you and I, just checking in with his friend.
Calling up his buddy like a normal person.
It made you stop and think, maybe we need to call those loved ones of ours again and just remind them how much they mean to us. Like I've always said, and sometimes I don't live by it, 5 seconds tomorrow, 5 days from now is not a guarantee. That, I'll call that person back tomorrow. Might not always be there.
Nope.
So that struck me a lot from today. And I was holding on to this all day, and I wanted to kind of almost surprise you. And this is getting sappy here.
Oh, goody.
And this is more inside. But my number 1 moment from today, and it's just the first day, is sharing the day with you.
Aw.
Here I go. I'm going to get upset. But George has been my best friend. And I guess it was hearing that voicemail that's making, this all come out. But George has been my best friend for easily, I'm 31 right now, easily since I was 17, 16 years old.
I like to be with the young boys. Honestly, officer, he's just my friend.
So I say this because, where life has us now with our careers and families and stuff like that, most of the time seeing George, it is a quick...
How do you do?
Yeah, hey, how do you do? It's a quick text message. It's a quick do the podcast on weekends now, which I'm grateful that we have. Or it's a quick, hey, let's go to a concert, which we haven't done in a year.
Yeah.
We saw a Sound of Thunder and Overkill.
King Diamond coming up.
Yep. So my top moment, everybody else is probably listening to this episode wanting to hear stuff about the GWAR show. But I'm just going to say this is that having a day, and tomorrow's another day, with my best friend, with a older brother, in a sense, to me.
Who you calling old?
That's been my most enjoyable. Someone I can't get enough of.
Ooh. We have separate beds in this room, by the way.
Doesn't mean we're going to use them. So that has been it's just one of those things that, us being guys, and I know those of you listening, please, if you have another friend, share these stories with us. But George is that friend that, George was to get mad at me right now, smash his beer bottle over my head. You know what? tomorrow morning we'd be loading up the car. We'd be going to that show. What rolls off my back? So that's my best thing, is that a weekend with my best friend when it's just him and I, just like old times.
Wow. I don't know how I can follow that. I mean, you really just kind of invalidated anything I'm going to say now.
No, please.
Anything I say now is now anticlimactic, but
Don't be changing it.
I will do my best. But, before I start, let me just say thank you for that, and I feel the same. I love you, man, but you're still not getting my Bud Light Lime. All right. Well, my number 3 was the time that we spent chatting with people that we didn't know. You know, the people that sat down at the table with us. We talked to some people from New York, some people from Philadelphia. And it was just kind of cool to just randomly strike up a conversation with like-minded people that you've never met before. It was exhilarating and interesting and fun.
Can I piggyback off that for a second?
Of course.
And say, this is the reason why I love metal. If you would have seen, and I know this is a podcast, if you guys would have seen the first couple that sat with George, the guy wore a wide brim, what type of hat to call it, fedora, maybe.
I actually don't remember the hat. I remember the mustache.
It was a wide brim hat.
Yeah.
Wide.
Yeah.
Covered in tats, sleeveless. He had a Hulk Hogan handlebar mustache. Mm-hmm. Not bad.
That was pretty cool looking.
If you would have looked at him, the general public may have been intimidated by him, maybe not even talked to him. But this is what has always got me and captured me about metal, because we didn't know anything about him.
And yet we instantly were able to connect.
Because he had a GWAR shirt on. We were at this show. GWAR is not here with the mainstream media. We're as passionate as he is. We talked with him for an hour.
No problem.
No problem at all.
This is the brotherhood and sisterhood of metal.
Yes.
And in fact, which person was it? I think it was Adam again. Adam Green that said, he was like, grab the hands of the people to the left of you and the right of you. And these are your metal family. And that's exactly what metal is. When you're at a show, you are with your family.
Yeah.
Your extended family. And, I'm sure there are other groups of people that have similar things, but this is our thing. It is our family. And this was our friend and brother that passed.
Yeah, this was our time. We didn't know him from Adam. Just like whenever you go to any metal show, we don't know any of these people.
Nope.
But you have that bond.
Yep, and it's surprisingly easy to just strike up a conversation with random people and talk to them at a metal show.
Yep.
So that was number 3. Number 2, for me, I liked all the speeches. I was particularly moved by the Jello Biafra speech. First of all, I was in complete awe. I mean, the man is a legend. So I was just shocked seeing him there talking. And he's a very intelligent guy, and he said a lot of intelligent and funny things, and it really moved me. So that was probably my second favorite piece of the day. My number 1, which in retrospect can't really compete with yours,
Don't say it.
but was probably one of my greatest metal moments ever, was Dave's Viking funeral. As I mentioned, how often do you get to see a Viking funeral? It was amazing. It was something that I'll never forget, and it was certainly a highlight of the day.
Even the Monomoth, as Viking as they are, they haven't pulled this off yet.
Yeah, that's right, man. What do they get? They got to really up the ante now.
Someone needs to die, and
Well, let's hope not. A mock Viking funeral. So anyway, those are the top 3 for today.
So George, what are you listening to?
Well, this past week, I was listening to a band that I wasn't entirely sure whether to call them metal, but after listening to it, it's pretty metal. But the reason I wasn't sure is the band's called Helms Ali, and they're a Seattle band, and this is their 3rd album called Sleepwalking Sailors. And the music is really heavy, sludgy, but there's just some aspect about it that and maybe it's the Seattle thing that, Seattle with alternative and grunge, and it's just like a little bit different than everything else. It's definitely a heavy album, and it's very sludge-like, and it's very original sounding to me, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think I picked it up off Bandcamp. I originally saw it on somebody's list. Somebody was like, "This is such a great album." Whenever I hear that, I always run out and check it out, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. It is a great album." Or, no, it's a piece of shit. But in this case, they were right. Helms Ali, Sleepwalking Sailors. Give it a listen.
So my listen this week, you mentioned it last week in the new releases, and I went out and I checked on Spotify and actually purchased it. Ailstorm, Sunset on the Golden Age.
Hell yeah. We are here to drink your beer.
Dude, that track is great. Mm-hmm. You know, when Ailstorm first debuted, I don't even know what instruments were involved, but the pirate sound was a little over the top.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was maybe a little, it was nice to hear.
They've definitely honed their sound a bit.
It was done a little too much. On this record, they kind of toned it back a little. Still the same subject matter, but it takes a little heavier direction. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's pirate metal done a little heavier.
Yeah, well,
and it's good.
Have you heard Swashbuckle?
Not sure.
Check them out, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just pirate metal done a little heavier. Right. I can't recommend it enough.
Excellent.
So that's what I've been listening to.
Cool. Do you have a classic for this week?
The classic this week is kind of funny. This is kind of a nod to the site. And I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I don't think I can do it justice, because I was checking out the site last week, trying to post some stuff to Twitter, and I was trying to build up my vinyl collection and add things to my wish list. And I came upon your hauls of the great metal albums.
Yeah, ooh.
The first post you did, and maybe you can describe it for a classic, Wrathchild America, Climbing the Walls.
That's such a good album.
You posted this after you and I interviewed John from Warbringer.
From Warbringer, yeah.
Yep, and I wanted to, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I went back and I listened to this album, this album passing me over. This is one of the ones that when you and I used to hang out, when you and I were burning CDs and stuff.
Right.
You're like, here, check this out. I'll admit, this passed me.
Dumbass.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
To put you on the spot, could you talk about this album?
Wait a minute. I thought I got to do my own classic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's cool. Well, gosh, I mean, you know, it was a thrash classic from had to be late 80s, very late 80s. I originally saw them, I want to say they opened up for Megadeth, or was it Testament? Maybe it was Testament.
Okay.
It was either Megadeth or Testament. I saw them at the Royal Oak Music Theater opening for one of those two bands. I saw both bands there. Actually, I think it was Testament, the Practice What You Preach tour. And I hadn't heard them before that. Saw them. I was like, wow, these guys are pretty good. Bought the shirt and went home and bought the cassette. Turns out, and it's funny because they're actually from the Baltimore scene.
Really?
And yeah, like the friends of ours in Charm City Devils, they know those guys. And of course, the drummer from Wrathchild America is now in that band that had their own day in Boston, Godsmack. So, yeah, I freaking love that album. And it's long out of print, which is just a travesty. But you can still find copies on eBay. I don't think they've been banned from eBay. And yeah, man, you got to check that out.
Did they follow this up with anything else?
They did another album after this called In 3D. And it was cool, but it wasn't quite... They changed the style up a little bit, and it wasn't quite my thing. They changed the name of the band after that to Souls at Zero.
Okay.
Did one or two more albums, I think. I never really got into it as much. It was never quite as good as the Climb on the Walls album, as far as I was concerned. Then after that, they broke up and went their separate ways. Shannon Larkin went to Godsmack, and there you are. So.
See, I was just, again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I was looking through the site earlier in the week, and I saw that was the first post that you had posted in the Metal Hall, greatest albums that you featured. I just wanted to ask you about that. Now, if you were to talk about, I know we did the big four. You always said what, the big seven? Could you do Big 10? Maybe. Would they be on that?
No. I mean,
there was a flash in the night, and that was it.
They were a flash in the pan, a very big, awesome flash, but they just don't have the body work to back up being in the top 10.
If you were to be wearing a shirt of them tomorrow, how many people would know them?
It's a good question. I mean, because they are from, the area, there would probably be a few people that are like, oh, man, watch out, awesome, dude.
Can I tell you, I was surprised. I saw, and it's in my bag, I'm wearing it tomorrow, Acid Bath, When the Kite String Pops. Yeah. I saw that shirt 4 times today.
Wow.
I had not seen that shirt once in 4 years.
I guarantee you that the shirt I'm wearing tomorrow, no one else will have. It's the only one in existence.
Wouldn't it be weird if somebody does have it, though?
I'd be like, huh, you stole my shirt somehow.
And you guys just lock eyes. You're like,
Well, it's funny. When we first got to the Memorial Day, we were those guys that I took the picture of in front of the band listing.
Yeah.
The guy like looked at my shirt, which is Metal Disciple, and then he looked up at me and he said, like, "Are you Bran?"
yes,
And I'm like,
he did. He goes,
and I was just kind of like, "What?" And he was like, "Are you Bran?" I'm like, "No." Why? I should have followed up with it, but I was just so taken aback. I'm like, "What? Why would you? What? Why?"
because maybe Bran is the metal disciple.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe there's another one out there.
We must eliminate Bran.
He must be eliminated. All right. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and do a classic too.
Please.
Well, my classic, it's pretty anticlimactic because I picked this classic before today, but this morning, and it is, of course, GWAR, Scumdogs of the Universe from 1990, which, we've already talked about, but that would be my classic for this week. Everything on there, good song. Anything GWAR, you should just go out, pick up some GWAR, or listen to it if you already have it. Think of Dave, raise a drink to him, or whatever, and celebrate the life and times of Dave Brockie.
Just put on this album, put on Sick of You, and just put it on.
I'm so sick of you.
Just put it on repeat.
Sick of you. All right.
I don't want to end.
You don't want to end. Well, I'm kind of out of stuff. So if you have any, if you don't have anything else, I think we need to play the last song. You got anything?
Yeah, I just want to ask you, what are you most excited for tomorrow?
Getting home alive?
Yeah, it's been much talked about on this podcast before. Old curmudgeon George.
I am the curmudgeon. Yeah, okay.
Are you going to go into tomorrow with bright eyes and...
Well, I don't know about bright eyes and bushy tail based on how much we drink tonight and how little sleep we end up getting. But I am going in with a positive attitude and a desire for fun and excitement.
Yes.
And hopefully scantily clad women.
Yes. 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 I'm most excited for Hatebreed, personally. That's just me. I know I should be excited for GWAR. I'm not. Please, I know this is not going to post before tomorrow, but, follow us. Disciple of... OV Metal. I'm at Opeth Fan. Our show is at Metalheads Pod. I downloaded today so we can live broadcast. We may try and do it again in the future some more. Hell, I may even fire it up and do it by myself. If you download Mixlr app, Mixlr, and add us Metalheads Pod on there, I may fire it up as I'm heading to work. Do a live broadcast.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows what'll happen?
Nobody expects Buke or the Spanish Inquisition.
So again, buddy, I just want to say thanks for. I wouldn't have done this on my own. Mm-hmm. So thanks for the kick in the butt to get the tickets and to come here. This has been one night so far. It's been a blast.
I'm sure tomorrow will be even better.
Yep, I love you, man. So
love you too.
This is great.
All right, let's close the show out with another track from Arctic Sleep. This is the title track from their forthcoming album, Passage of Gaia.
and you